Let us execute an immediate, sweeping analytical vector shift away from multi-POV con artist tracking grids, grief exploitation algorithms, and the coastal villa asset stripping maneuvers of premium domestic suspense, and plunge straight into the high-octane calculation-heavy tracking grids of suburban window surveillance loops, weaponized suburban conformity matrices, and the fiercely protective, dangerously fragile world of an isolated neighborhood asset running a raw, tactical survival loop. We are crossing the threshold directly into the hyper-monitored, voyeurism-slicked perimeters of a seemingly quiet cul-de-sac, exploring the lethal analytical parameters of an intense, trust-shattering deception matrix with the wife across the street, the exceptional, pulse-pounding psychological thriller masterpiece engineered by the absolute, undisputed sovereign of calculating residential traps, dark observation chess matches, and high-velocity suburban paranoia, James Caine. This high-stakes narrative tracking sequence delivers an exceptional look at an operational crossroads where a fierce, hyper-observant primary female asset running an unyielding safety loop, a calculating secretive target asset running a volatile past timeline trajectory across the pavement grid, and an absolute defense against an encroaching local cover-up network collide at terminal velocity. Let us map the strategic narrative grid. If you are an elite enthusiast of high-octane, slow-burn psychological thrillers where an endangered, hyper-observant female protagonist must navigate an absolute maze of rigged neighborhood gossip, corrupt local social alliances, and a deadly ring of active insider frame-ups while running a blind survival loop inside a completely compromised cul-de-sac ecosystem, where an analytical mind uses deep behavioral profiling, calculated lens-based boundaries, and absolute emotional stamina to outmaneuver an invisible predatory executioner network, and where the author utilizes an incandescent, reclusive woman obsessively monitors the seemingly perfect new family moving in opposite her house only to witness a shocking midnight event that the entire neighborhood claims never happened, diagnostic routine to test our hero's structural limits. This book is engineered to lock you in. Caine completely dominates the high-precision suburban voyeurism meets suffocating gaslighting perimeters dynamic, capturing the heart-racing intellectual momentum, suffocating domestic paranoia, and heavy deductive depth popularized by genre vargs like A.J. Finn, The Woman in the Window, Paula Hawkins, Frida McFadden, and Sherry LaPena, while treating realistic optical surveillance logistics, complex multi-perspective deception alignment arcs, and protective high-density psychological extraction grids with absolute technical mastery. The narrative tracking grid zeroes in on the highly volatile, calculation-heavy baseline of our central legendary powerhouse asset, Harper, operating under a severe calculation handicap of paralyzing agoraphobic trauma shock, escalating small-town social ostracization, and a hyper-visible targeting canvas within her own neighborhood's historical database. Behind Harper's rigorous telephoto lens footprints, digital surveillance logs, and defensive architectural boundaries lies an intricate matrix of hidden faction allegiances, deeply buried high society friction, and sharp high-stakes tactical maneuvers. Her collective defense mechanisms are locked down tight following a catastrophic past timeline vehicular tragedy, her entire analytical focus strictly consumed by monitoring sudden threat factors from an aggressive local neighborhood watch network, parsing complex behavioral shifts from her estranged husband, and shielding her vulnerable mental sovereignty node from being entirely wiped out by a ruthless elite cleanup offensive. The spark ignites when an unexpected high-frequency structural anomaly breaches her active scanning perimeter. An elegant, enigmatic woman named Vanessa moves into the property directly across the street with her charismatic, highly calculating spouse. Behind the new family's polished civilian facade and perfect lawn footprints lies an intricate matrix of hidden domestic dominance, intense financial friction, and a cold, calculation-heavy target suppression blueprint. As the hostile adversarial execution phases enter an increasingly lethal terminal tier across Harper's ticking clock timeline, she logs a shocking midnight structural breach, a frantic, violent confrontation behind Vanessa's curtains that abruptly cuts to total darkness. The official diagnostic metrics of the global tracking centers flash white hot when the morning database queries reveal Vanessa has completely vanished from the property grid, replaced by an identical synthetic family facade, while local authorities and defensive neighborhood entities insist Vanessa never existed in their tracking locks. The standard boundaries of routine civic compliance and peaceful civilian safety protocols crumble, and our central protagonist run completely out of standard diplomatic escape vectors. Harper is thrust directly into an active invisible war across the street, where a highly manipulative neighborhood shadow network launches aggressive countermeasures to permanently suppress her survival data stream and execute her complete systemic erasure. The tactical parameters instantly explode as their historical and survival warfare turns completely active, transforming the large glass windows, dark suburban lawns, and private fortified residential rooms into a volatile psychological pressure cooker and a physical battle zone. Our protective, hyper-vigilant heroine is forced to deploy her massive intuitive tradecraft, elite behavioral mapping skills, and raw emotional stamina to preserve her focus before her adversary's relentless calculation-heavy proximity containment phase permanently deletes her boundaries.
The threat vector remains purposeful and resolute, determined to deploy deep medical gaslighting loops, continuous psychological isolation, and persistent dominance to shatter Harper's defense, only to realize her hardened survival protocols and shifting counter-narratives match their opponent's raw tactical speed step for step. Every midnight telephoto archival excavation, every silent choice to stand off against an encroaching adversary behind standard architectural boundaries, and every intense moment of channeling raw, unyielding survival mechanics chips away at her reliance on original peaceful rules. What follows is an exceptional high-stakes war of perspective, tactical position, and raw human grit. We watch the cul-de-sac elite's deceptive perimeters completely unwrapped as James Caine reveals that the true victory requires more than just surviving an initial surveillance discovery or managing a difficult mental health disclosure. It demands an absolute uncompromising defense of individual dignity, personal truth, and systemic survival against a cold, calculating machine of domestic manipulation and psychopathic supremacy. While our central characters smooth over each other's psychological and defensive blind spots with devastating analytical force, creating a fiercely protective absolute web of dark possessive loyalty around their building alliance, a brutal series of close-quarters tactical confrontations and high-stakes evidentiary breakthroughs shifts the clock into its terminal phase, proving that deep-seated secrets have tracked them to their final outpost. To survive the impending locked grid trap and permanently secure her sanctuary, our resilient heroine must unleash an absolute unyielding defense of her final boundary lines. It is a psychological thriller, suburban voyeurism noir, gaslighting secret mystery, high-velocity contemporary puzzle masterpiece that treats deep relational logistics and intense structural friction with elite precision. The tension here burns with a sharp, calculation-heavy intensity. We are talking about that high-frequency, one-logged telephoto snapshot triggers a fatal cul-de-sac showdown energy, where a sudden pause during an active franchise tactical briefing, an unexpected shift in an adversary's protective physical posture during a high-stakes standoff confrontation, or a heavy, possessive realization that an elite intelligence operative has completely mapped your personal coordinates carries massive structural weight. Caine writes with an exceptionally fresh, vivid, and beautifully blunt voice, capturing the heavy, oppressive atmosphere of a private executive vault before a major corporate takeover and the distinct, subtle scent of polished mahogany, damp asphalt, wet grass, old dust layers, cold adrenaline, and pure, unadulterated suspense. What truly elevates this contemporary standalone marvel into elite territory is the author's unmatched ability to balance complex, high-stakes relationship dynamics and genuine protective power tradecraft alongside a breathtaking narrative pace and deep emotional hooks. Our protagonists don't rely on unbelievable superficial Hollywood superhero action tropes. Their immense situational intelligence, strategic patience, and profound survival instincts match the complexity of the chaotic modern corporate and high society underworld they dominate step for step, making their choices to risk everything feel profoundly authentic and deeply gripping. The pacing moves with calculated momentum, tracking intense conversational standoffs and breathtaking tactical breakthroughs before ratcheting up to an absolute jaw-dropping conclusion that delivers total hard-earned advancement to their horizon. The Wife Across the Street is the definitive pro-level upgrade your high-stakes contemporary thriller and intense asset suspense library demands right now. It is elegant, immensely fast-paced, and utterly unput-outable. It proves that when your entire sanctuary is targeted by a cold, calculating institutional monster, the most revolutionary play you can execute is to lock your perimeters, trust your elite survival training, and fight like hell alongside your network to rewrite the data. So, secure your personal reading sanctuary, review your emotional defensive perimeters, open your Kindle, and prepare to track the fleet.